The fight against ALS, it can often feel like trying to solve a puzzle when you know some of the pieces are missing. We see headlines about new trials, which is great, but the overall progress can feel frustratingly slow. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the hidden work, the stuff that makes all those potential breakthroughs possible in the first place.
So why does it feel that way? Well, here's the thing. Huge medical breakthroughs almost never happen in a single eureka moment. They're actually built on top of this really complex system of tools, data, and collaboration that scientists rely on every single day. And a huge part of that system is all the work that happens far away from the spotlight. It's the essential, often invisible progress that lays the groundwork for everything else.
And that system? It has a name. It's called research infrastructure. It's basically the collection of shared tools, data, and networks that scientists need to do their jobs well. And what's really interesting is that these are often nonprofit efforts. They don't create drugs themselves. Instead, they act as a catalyst, kind of supercharging the entire scientific community's ability to find answers.
And that metaphor, it really nails it. This research infrastructure is the foundation. I mean, think about it. Without that solid base, individual labs would be trying to build these world-changing treatments on, shaky ground. It just wouldn't work. Okay, so let's dig into how this applies specifically to ALS, because the unique nature of this disease makes that foundation absolutely critical. See, ALS isn't like a lot of other diseases out there. It comes with a very specific set of challenges that mean researchers simply cannot work in isolation. They have to collaborate. We're talking on a global scale. So let's break these challenges down. First off, ALS is incredibly complex. It's probably not even one single disease, right? It's more like a whole family of related subtypes. Second, because it's a rare disease, no single hospital or research center can possibly gather enough data on its own. And third, the disease moves fast, which puts researchers in a constant race against time. The takeaway here is crystal clear. They have to work together. So how do you even make that kind of collaboration happen? Well, it's all about putting these essential building blocks in place. Let's dive in and take a closer look at what they are. First up, we've got biobanks. The best way to think of them is like libraries, but instead of books, they're filled with biological clues. And what's so powerful about this is that these libraries are built by the ALS community itself.
So what are they? They're these incredibly well-managed collections of biological samples. We're talking blood, DNA, tissue, all donated by people with ALS and even healthy volunteers. Each and every sample is a potential treasure trove of information because it's linked to clinical data. This lets scientists hunt for patterns and really understand the biological changes that are driving the disease.
Okay, another huge piece of the puzzle, genetic databases. I mean, over the last couple of decades, our ability to analyze DNA has just completely changed the game for understanding ALS.
By pulling together genetic info from thousands and thousands of people, researchers can start to spot the specific mutations that are linked to ALS. This helps them figure out how those genes affect nerve cells and why the disease can be so different from one person to the next. And the most crucial part? These genetic clues are already pointing the way toward new therapies. That's happening right now.
All right, next up, patient registries. And this is where the actual real-life experiences of people living with ALS can directly steer the research. So these registries collect information about symptoms, about how the disease is progressing, and they get it straight from the patients themselves. This helps researchers map out the natural history of ALS, which is just absolutely essential for designing smarter, better clinical trials. It makes sure the real-world experience of living with the disease is always front and center.
But wait, there's more. The shared tools don't just stop with samples and data. This whole infrastructure gives scientists a whole toolkit of resources to make their work faster and, just as importantly, more reliable.
So, for example, you've got standardized lab models. These make sure that an experiment happening in a lab in Tokyo is actually comparable to one in Toronto. That's so critical for verifying results. Then you have biomarker platforms, which help scientists find reliable ways to measure if a new treatment is actually working. And get this, we're even seeing cool new digital tools, like apps on your smartphone, that can track the disease day by day. That gives researchers so much more data than they could ever get from just a few clinic visits. Okay, so we've got all these different building blocks, right? But their real power, their true power, only gets unlocked when you connect them all together into one massive global effort. And honestly, that is the reality today.
Because of this shared foundation, ALS research isn't just a bunch of separate labs working in silos anymore. No way. It is a truly global scientific team effort, with the best and brightest minds in the world all working together.
And we're not just talking about one kind of scientist here. This global effort brings neurologists, geneticists, data scientists, biologists, even engineers into the fold. Having all these different experts looking at the same problem from different angles, that is what hits the accelerator on discovery.
And this brings us to the most important question of all. Why does this matter so much? Well, it matters because this foundation isn't just about making science a little more efficient. It's about turning all that science into actual, tangible solutions.
So let's connect the dots. This nonprofit foundation, it directly fuels the work of the for-profit companies that are actually making the new drugs. Genetic data points to potential targets. The biosamples let them study the disease up close. Biomarkers give them a way to measure if a drug is working. And the patient registries, they help find the right people for clinical trials. What does all this do? It basically de-risks the whole drug development process. It makes it way more attractive for companies to invest their time and money into finding a cure.
So this whole invisible foundation, all the shared databases, the biobanks, the collaborative networks, this is what gives scientists their best shot yet at turning what they understand about ALS into actual treatments.
So yeah, this kind of work might not grab the headlines every day. But make no mistake, this strong, collaborative foundation is being built piece by piece every single day. The progress is absolutely real, even when it's quiet. And it leaves us with the biggest, most hopeful question of all. With a foundation this strong, what are we going to build on top of it?